My name is Eleanor, 25 years old. I suggest grabbing some snacks because this is going to be quite a journey. My life has had its share of highs and lows, and honestly, I never expected to be where I am today. But let's dive right in. Like I mentioned, I'm just an ordinary girl who faced her fair share of challenges. You know how some people have parents guiding them through life? Well, I didn't have that luxury. I was an orphan navigating the world solo, fending for myself since the age of 15. As you can imagine, I made some questionable decisions along the way. Here's the plot twist. Despite the chaos and uncertainty, life threw me a bone. I secured a full-ride scholarship to a decent university. Can you believe it? I went from fearing I'd end up on the streets to having this incredible opportunity. I decided to make the most of it, majoring in both finance and media, a combination that felt like the ultimate power move because, honestly, I didn't know what else to do. Fast forward to my graduation, I was ready to take on the world armed with my dual degrees and an unmatched determination. I felt invincible, ready to conquer anything. But, as we all know, life loves throwing curveballs. Enter COVID-19, the global pandemic that flipped everyone's plans upside down. Remember that? Suddenly, everything was uncertain, and the world was changing at an unprecedented pace. Like many others, I had to adapt quickly. I knew I had to pivot if I was going to survive this. I started exploring remote job opportunities and delving into the world of online work. Turns out, adapting was the key. I had a talent for stuff like affiliate marketing and content writing. With my background in finance and media, it turned out to be the perfect mix for this digital landscape. Now, let's dive into the unique part of my story. As I delved deeper into the online world, I discovered something significant. My hard work paid off, and I was onto something big. Rising through the ranks, I became a promising businesswoman. The more I learned, the more I earned, not just financially, but also in terms of confidence and self-belief. All right, folks, back to the story. Let me tell you, the plot only intensifies from here. Picture this. I was on this wild ride, conquering the online world with my affiliate marketing skills. And then I crossed paths with the guy who would change my life, James. Initially, things were fantastic between us. We clicked, laughed, and life felt like an exciting adventure. Now, here comes the twist. Within a mere 8 months of knowing each other, we decided to take the plunge and get married. Now, looking back, I realized we jumped into things too quickly. I mean, 8 months is barely enough time to figure out someone's favorite color, let alone their entire life story. Don't get me wrong, though. Despite the whirlwind romance, I appreciate the learning experience. Every decision, whether good or bad, shapes who we are. So, yeah, I learned a thing or two about slowing down and really getting to know someone before committing to a lifetime together. Now, let's talk about James's reaction to my work. When he first asked what I did, he kind of brushed it off, saying, "Oh, that's cute. You're dabbling in some online stuff." Little did he know, my little online gig was about to blow up in a major way. I'm talking viral posts, the kind that sends your follower count soaring and your bank account doing the shay-shay. Suddenly, I wasn't just making a few bucks here and there. Nope, I was raking in some serious cash. And guess what? I became wealthier than my own husband. Yeah, you read that right. Now, here's where the drama ramps up. James, bless his ego, wasn't exactly thrilled about the whole situation. Imagine this. A guy who thought my job was some adorable little side hustle was suddenly staring at my skyrocketing bank balance. Well, let's just say he wasn't jumping for joy. I could practically see his pride deflating like a balloon. It was like watching a reality show unfold right in front of me. Then, one day, he approached me with this. "Hey, Eleanor, you know I've been thinking about your whole online thing." "Do you? Do you truly believe this is a sustainable career?" "What I mean is, don't you think it's time to consider something more stable? It's good that you're exploring this, but let's be practical. You're not really earning a significant income from it." "Excuse me? Are you implying my work isn't valuable?" I make more money than you." This seemed to upset him because I swear I almost saw the vein in his forehead pop. No, that's not what I'm saying. I just think it might be better if you focus on something more reliable, like finding a steady job or even just staying home and taking care of things here. You know, like a traditional role. James, you have no idea how much effort I put into this. I've worked hard to build my online presence, connect with people, and yes, to make money. I've faced challenges, learned new skills, and grown so much in the process. Yeah, sure, but it's not exactly a conventional job, is it? It's not like you're bringing in a substantial income. Let's face it, it can be a bit awkward when people ask what you do. Uncomfortable? Seriously? This is my passion, my dedication, and my achievements we're discussing. I take pride in what I've accomplished, and I won't abandon it just because you may not fully appreciate its worth. Let's be practical for a moment. Given the uncertainties in the world, having more stability could be beneficial. If you stay home, you can contribute to making our living space comfortable and taking care of things here. James, I won't sacrifice my dreams and the strides I've taken just to become a homemaker. I deserve to pursue I deserve to have a career that makes me proud. I should be able to pursue my own goals and passions. And if you can't support me in that, then maybe we need to have a serious talk about our future together. We argued for hours on end. I was so frustrated with him that I decided to leave. Just for some context, after we got married, I moved in with James and decided to rent out my place for some extra money on the side. However, with James's behavior, I started questioning whether staying in the same home as him was the right choice. I threatened to go back to my place until he could address his insecurities and stop being upset with me for making more money than him. Okay, Eleanor, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for bringing it up. You're right, and I'm wrong. Please forgive me. Don't go, please. Well, I never expected that twist. It seemed almost too simple. This is what we call foreshadowing, folks. I believed things would improve after James assured me of his support. However, that wasn't the end of it. The very next day, I found myself in an unexpected situation. It wasn't ninjas attacking me, but rather James and my mother-in-law, Sophia, both ready to express their disapproval. They raised their voices, scolding me for not following James's advice and persisting with my silly online endeavor. I was taken by surprise, and their words felt like sharp daggers cutting through me. I couldn't stop the tears from flowing. I felt stuck and utterly beaten. I had put in a lot of effort to establish my career in life, only to witness it unravel because of the very individuals who were meant to encourage me. And it didn't end there. They chose to make my life even more difficult, piling on household chores and responsibilities, leaving me with no time or energy to dedicate to my work. They were set on undermining my success and crushing my morale. As weeks went by, my income began to drop, and my once thriving online presence fell apart. This took a toll on my confidence and self-esteem. I found myself in a distressing situation, caught in a cycle of mistreatment and manipulation that I couldn't break free from. Each day, I sat in front of my computer, attempting to salvage what remained of my work. But the burden of their hurtful words and excessive demands felt overwhelming. I felt like I was suffocating, struggling to breathe, and had lost control of my career. What made it even more challenging was that I started internalizing their insults, convincing myself that I was only fit to be a submissive housewife. I found myself in a difficult situation, torn between two options. On one side, I longed to pack up and regain my independence in my own home. However, fear held me back, fear of the potential consequences and fear of the unknown. I wished things had turned out differently, yearning for the days when I felt unstoppable, believing I could conquer anything. I thought I could handle whatever challenges came my way, but everyone has their limits. The breaking point arrived suddenly. James had pushed me to the edge, making me spend countless hours cooking, only to reject it all and demand a fresh start. It felt like a cruel game to him. In a certain situation, I found a way to take charge and maintain my independence. Eventually, I reached a breaking point. I stood my ground and confronted the person, insisting that they stop treating me like a servant at their beck and call. Their negative reaction was intense. They became angrier than I had ever seen. Shockingly, for the first time, they resorted to physical violence, striking me across the face. This incident served as a wake-up call, making me realize the extent of the abuse I had endured. As I lay on the ground, a surge of anger and fear coursed through me. Without thinking, I impulsively grabbed a nearby object, a knife, my hand trembling but my determination unwavering. I pointed it at them, expressing my refusal to tolerate the mistreatment any longer. I apologized for my actions, but their remorse didn't register with me. I had heard apologies and excuses before, recognizing that a line had been crossed with no possibility of reconciliation. With the knife still in hand, I declared that I was done, unable to endure the situation any longer. I announced my decision to leave for good, quickly gathering my essentials. As I walked out, prepared to call the authorities if needed, the person began to sob and plead, attempting to garner sympathy. In that moment, I realized that the toxic environment had suffocated me for far too long, and I could no longer love someone who perpetuated such negativity. I wasn't sure where I was heading, but I knew I couldn't stay where I was. I drove back to my own house, thankfully unoccupied at the time. It was the only place where I could find some relief and take a deep breath. I questioned why I had left in the first instance. As I sat there, tears streaming down my face, I realized the mess I had gotten myself into. Having read enough self-help books, I understood that once someone crosses a physical line, it won't likely stop. I wasn't willing to wait around to see how much worse it could get. I recognized the need to take control of my life again, to regain the strength and independence I fought hard for. The road ahead seemed difficult, full of unknowns and fear, but I was at least heading towards regaining my strength and breaking free from the chains that had held me captive for far too long. In the familiar surroundings of my home, I finally faced the truth I had been avoiding, the harsh reality of the abuse I had endured. Allowing myself to crumble, I let the tears flow, washing away some of the pain that had been buried deep inside. Amidst my emotional chaos, my phone kept ringing persistently, each call coming from Sophia. I had been avoiding her, hoping that my silence would make her give up, but she remained persistent. Persistent, I finally answered, my voice weighed down with exhaustion. Sophia's tone on the other end had changed, sounding sad and almost defeated. She pleaded with me to return to James, to work things out and mend the shattered pieces of our marriage. Her words felt like sharp daggers, reminding me of the twisted web of guilt and manipulation that had kept me trapped for so long. I scoffed at her words, finding it hard to believe the audacity of it all. I told her without holding back that a loving conversation couldn't overcome everything. It wasn't that simple. I made it clear that I was done, that I would never go back to the nightmare they called home, and they should leave me alone. However, Sophia's tone shifted, and her desperation turned into threats that sent shivers down my spine. She warned me that if I left, James could take the money I had worked so hard to earn. Panic set in as I realized the gravity of the situation. Unsure of what to say, I abruptly hung up the phone, my hands trembling. Fear crept in once again as the reality sank in. This wasn't over. They wouldn't just let me go. Deep down, I knew I couldn't stay in that house. I couldn't risk them showing up at my doorstep, forcing me to return to that hellish nightmare. With a heavy sigh, I acknowledged what had to be done. I had to do it. I couldn't let them control me any longer. It was time to take charge of my own destiny, prioritize my safety and well-being, and run as fast as I could. This meant leaving everything behind: the abuse, the manipulation, and even the house. It was a frightening decision, but one I knew I had to make to finally break free from the chains that had held me captive for far too long. Without wasting any time, I left that potential house of horrors the next morning, even before the sun rose. I packed up whatever I could salvage: clothes, shoes, toiletries, leaving behind any remnants of that old life. The house was put up for sale, marking a chapter I was eager to close. With the support of a few friends, I found a buyer within a week, bringing palpable relief. Not only would I gain some financial independence, but I could sever the last thread tying me to my abusers. It was a fresh start I so desperately needed. I decided to move to a smaller town, far away from the memories and pain of my past. A town with just 29,000 people where I could disappear in the anonymity of a smaller community. The peace and quiet were exactly what I craved, a chance to heal and gather my strength for the battles ahead. Blocking James and Sophia on all fronts, I attempted to create a distance between us. However, the fear of them finding me lingered like a shadow despite the peace I sought. I settled into my fresh start, concentrating on rebuilding my online business and reconnecting with my true self. As time passed, I found a sense of safety in my new environment. However, unexpectedly, James reappeared like a nightmare. He made new social media accounts to reach out to me, sending messages filled with a mix of anger, desperation, and manipulation. He insisted I stop being unreasonable and return home. I remained vigilant, blocking every new account he created. Despite the ongoing threat, I slowly made progress. My online business began to thrive once more, giving me a spark of hope that I could take charge of my life again. With each successful step, my confidence grew. I came to realize that, despite enduring tough times, I had the strength to overcome them. Protecting my location with caution and constructing a barrier of secrecy, I started to sense a newfound strength. I was shaping a life according to my own preferences, distancing myself from the harmful influences that had hindered my progress for an extended period. In this phase, I also thought strategically about separating from James and securing my financial well-being. While contemplating a post-nuptial agreement, I harbored doubts about his willingness to agree, given his inclination to keep me confined and in a state of neediness. James intensified his efforts to reach out to me, making a fresh account each day. Despite his increasing threats and persistent pleas, I chose to keep ignoring him. Nonetheless, on one occasion, he uttered words that sent a chill down my spine. "It's been months, Eleanor 5. Why are you still hiding? Don't assume I won't locate you. I promise to God, if you don't return home right away, I'll destroy your house." I was shocked when I got a threatening message from James. He dared to believe he could still control me, which infuriated me. But I didn't give in. Instead, I blocked him, just like I had done before. No more new accounts, no more messages, no more threats. It seemed like he finally understood I wouldn't be his victim anymore. A week later, a friend from my old town sent me a shocking photo, a mugshot of James and Sophia caught committing arson on what used to be my house. I quickly searched online and found out they were arrested for arson. Sophia revealed they thought someone else was in the house, and now they were also charged with conspiracy to commit murder. What idiots! The twist was surreal. They had tried to burn down the house, but the new owner caught them in the act, stopping the fire. Their audacity left me stunned, but a mix of shock, anger, and relief washed over me. They were now behind bars awaiting trial, bringing a sense of vindication. With their hearings pushed into the future, they were stuck in a jail cell, unable to torment me further. Despite the lingering fear of their potential threat, a bigger part of me was relieved they were facing justice. I'm working with a lawyer to ensure I'm protected when I divorce that scumbag,